Back live and inside the game on your airwaves, wherever you're watching today, whether that be on Roku or YouTube. We are all over the place, and we're proud to bring it to you. Episode 238 as we roll along our penultimate episode of the week here on Inside the Game. Ryan, before we get to anything here today, I wanted to rattle off this quote. I saw this from Pardon My Take before we came into the show today, and I thought this was hilarious. They said, if you enjoyed beating Canada in the gold medal match, may I introduce to you potentially starting World War III if we were to win the World Cup? The quote is, I think the entire world would agree to bomb us if the U.S. won the World Cup. I think they would agree to take us off the map completely if the U.S. won the World Cup. If they found a way, they'd be like, all right, this is over. We can't do this anymore with these guys.
So America's already hated by everything. And we had the best basketball team, obviously. We'd kill in football. We already know that we're the best in football. We don't even have to play anything.
Yep.
I think our college football teams you could probably take the national champions and
probably put a high school football team together and beat most places.
Take the Under Armour All-American game and compete them against pros football players. Let's see. Baseball, I wouldn't say we are, because the Japs are they're not real. They're not human. Maybe we're the best country in real human baseball players, I'd say, because Japan's robots. And hockey, obviously, right now, dude, if we took soccer away oh my goodness. Because men's soccer is the one thing we haven't cracked yet. That is the one sport we haven't cracked yet. And if we did that, I don't know what the world would do.
And that's why you always see, I feel like people comment like, oh, it'll never happen. It's like, you don't know that it'll never happen. You're hoping that it'll never happen.
Probably.
And that's fair. If the hope is that it'll never happen, I completely understand that. But
no, I think if we made it to a final, I think before, like if it looked like we were about to win, I think already it wouldn't finish, because it's like, we can't let this happen. We just can't. The world would be like, we can't let this happen.
Yeah, the bombs would start bursting in air, literally and figuratively. No one would allow that to happen. It would be over. But anyways, so you went to the Pistons game last night. I was watching that at the they call it the Res, just down the street from where my house is, just a little bar down here. But I was watching part of it, obviously not the whole thing, but you got to sit in the suite and everything. You're treated like a king, and you got to see another Pistons win. But I guess it was a little disappointing over a team full of players that nobody played. So again, kind of parlayed perfectly from our conversation earlier in the day and all week into what you saw that night at the Pistons. But I don't know, how was that experience?
Oh, it was wonderful. Shout out the people at DTE. Shout out my dad. Shout out, LCA for having wonderful suites. Like, it was unbelievable viewing experience. I think it's the first time I've ever watched a Pistons or Red Wings game in the lower bowl. It was great. But, I mean, the top 6 scorers out for the Thunder, Hartenstein, Caruso, SGA, Jalen Williams, which technically a Jalen Williams did play, but not the Jalen Williams. Chet didn't play. So the only people I recognized was, I think it was Aaron Wiggins, obviously, because he played in Maryland. So obviously I recognized that. And then I think it was Cason Wallace, because I did a 2K rebuild like back in like 2021 during like the COVID times, and he was on it. But like outside of that, I don't recognize any of these players. Like, Lou Dort, obviously I recognize. But no, it was just like, and the crazy part is none of those players were even there outside of Hartenstein. Hartenstein was the only one that actually was on the bench. Like, there was a 4-person bench for the Thunder. That's how bad it was. Like, it was that bad. And like at that point, Pistons won, obviously. It was a closer game than I thought it would be, but like, did the Pistons really take it seriously? I can't take any stock out of this game. I expected the number 1 team in the East, number team in the West to go, compete, and it just didn't happen, and I was just really bummed out about that part because, like, I can't take any stock out of it. Pistons won. Cool, but you beat G League players. Thunder lose. Doesn't matter. They had G League guys out there. So it's I don't know. It's just dumb.
Yeah. And we'll talk more. We'll talk a lot more about that coming up later on in the show in our all sports section. They're the G League team they put out there, clearly willing to mail it in for a game in Detroit, which again, number 1 against number 1. I don't get it, but It is what it is. But you were upset about a lot of fouls last night. You were talking about a lot of stupid fouls, but maybe none upset you more, or created more of a immediate reaction than some of the fouls you saw earlier in your career as a public
This is not
address
a foul.
announcer when
This was
you were
just
at
a this was a
Central Michigan.
this was a review on who was
A
off of last.
review.
This was not a foul. But no,
So a ref decision.
This came up in a year ago today, and I was like, this has got to be put on air. So basically, I don't think the play's not in it, but all you got to do is look at me. I'm the PA announcer. All this is about, you'll see me right there. You see me with the yellow polo on. Look at that.
Oh,
And then I'm trying to announce it too, because this is the worst decision I've ever seen. Because that is clearly off Ball State, but they say it's off CMU and it's going Ball State way. And I've got to sit there. I'm like, guys, I know this isn't off them. I know this isn't off CMU. And then the ref is like, wait. Let's pull it back there. Even look at the strength and conditioning coach. She's already like ticked too, like she's in shock. And then the person behind me, they're in shock. And I'm trying to sit there. I'm like, I know it's not off CMU, but you're saying it's off Ball State. But no, that was a horrible decision. And for the people who didn't know what was going on in this game, CMU was putting the number one team in the MAC on the ropes. And we had a shot to win it. I think it went into overtime, But then while that's going on, I'm getting my phone blown up from the production team in the back. They're like, dude, your reaction's hilarious. Like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. Like, your face is hilarious. And I'm like, what did I do? I don't even know what I did. So then after the game, I'm like, pull it up. Let me see it. And then took a video of it. And then it popped up on my 1 year ago today. But no, that was like, I don't have the video of what happened but the Ball State player clearly throws it. And it's like the ball is here and the hand is here. Like, it's nowhere near it. Like, it should have lasted a 10-second review, but it took him a lot longer than that. And then I'm sitting there like, and with being a PA, I can like sit there like over at the replay monitor, and I can see exactly what's happening. And I know after the first look, I'm like, I know, okay, it's CMU ball. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what did she just say? But no, I thought I'd throw that in there today. It was fun.
That's so funny. And when you're sitting at the scorer's table too, you're not supposed to like react to things. That's not supposed to be something you do. You know, I know at least like people who are keeping stats or like, you know, people who are just in the area, the media area, you're not supposed to be like that, or at least at the table. But sometimes it's just a human reaction to react to certain things. But you don't know that the camera's right there too. But with it being an ESPN
no,
broadcast,
I probably should have known.
Of course, you should have known.
To be on it.
You should have known that it was right there.
I've ran
but
that
hey, you know,
before a couple of times.
Yeah, it happens. So it is what it is. No, but that's hilarious. But we got a couple of really good interviews coming up here on the show today, here on Inside the Game. We got to have a few different conversations with a couple of different coaches, so looking forward to giving you guys a look into that one. Carlos Llamosa, obviously the first one, Ryan, and he had a lot of good things to share with us. Loved getting to talk about his story, obviously immigrating, coming over here to the U.S., and just talking about obviously how much the game has grown since then. And then Alan McCann, who was a really good interview as well. Loved what he had to say about the World Cup and about just getting Ireland into the World Cup, because he might retire if that ends up happening. But a couple of really good conversations yesterday.
Yeah, no, I thought they were great. Llamosa and McCann, really good insights on, because I've never talked to a USL championship coach. It's always USL 2 coaches. It's always college coaches. And we never had a chance to have a USL championship coach on. And I thought both were great. There's other ones down the line. There's gonna be one for Monday, and now there's one for Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Tuesday now this morning. I got one for Tuesday, and then Monday, or we have another one that'll be on Monday. So lots of stuff coming down the line. But no, I thought Llamosa and McCann gave really good insight. I thought McCann had a really good insight on, kind of, you learn more in the losing season than the winning season, and I thought that was great. And no, really good insight on things and how preseason is going for them as well. And because obviously that starts on March 7th, so not this Saturday, but next Saturday the season starts. So it's American soccer. It's funny, like American soccer all happens at like the same, not at the same time, but like once you hit like May, it's all soccer is all over the place in this country, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of 3-letter, 4-letter leagues. That they don't intertwine. They don't all intertwine with each other, but they all happen at like kind of the same time. And then also with soccer kicking off, there's a couple things that are kicking off. We got March Madness coming up. We got MLB season coming up. We'll probably see Scuba wimp out of a couple things, and then World Cup's right around the corner. So yeah, no, it's a good sign that the USL Championship season's starting because the World Cup's right around the corner. I think we're 3.5 months away, something like that.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. And I think all of them have said the same thing about it. Just take it in, just enjoy the experience. And that's, I think, the thing that we're going to see the most when it does come to our shores. And yeah, I thought Alan McCann was a really good interview too, because when you become the first team in the USL Championship to win a title back in 2024, and then you take that step back, I think it's just a reminder that it can happen that quickly. And I thought he was kind of able to highlight that for us. Like, hey, we had some needs, we had some holes we didn't plug, and it ended up being what it was in 25, and we learned from that. And so now we're going to see what it does for us in 2026. So, yeah, I thought really good insight, and obviously we're excited. I know we talk a lot about the U.S. men's national team, Premier League, MLS, World Cup, all of this good stuff, but I just wanted to let you guys know we do obviously cover Major League Indoor Soccer. We're going to continue to talk about that. We got Tanner Time coming up tomorrow. We also are going to be covering the United Soccer League as well. So we're going to have a dedicated segment to the USL and everything that's happening in and around the United Soccer League as we continue to roll into that regular season. But on the other side of this first segment, we're going to get into those interviews. Carlos Llamosa coming up first here on Inside the Game. But before we get to that, wanted to tell you guys about the summer soccer camps. Again, it is starting to get warm outside, so it is getting to that point, and we got some exciting opportunities for you guys. First, FC Bayern summer soccer camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, FC Bayern summer soccer camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city and start a promising soccer path. And right now, save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30. Again, that's BayernNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at fcbayernyouth.com. Welcome back on Inside the Game. Nate Wangler alongside Ryan Glinsky and a very special guest on the show today, Carlos Llamosa from San Antonio FC, stopping by the show. Coach, first of all, wanted to say thank you very much for making the time to come chat.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you, guys, for having me here on the show. Appreciate that.
A cool opportunity for you, obviously, being with that USL Championship side and in San Antonio. But, my first question really harks back to your playing days and immigrating here to the United States. It's been a long journey for you. How have you been able to stay in the game for as long as you have?
Well, Yeah, it's been a long journey. Since I landed in New York City in 1991. Uh, but lucky me or fortunate me, the I when I got to New York, there was a lot of soccer going on Sunday leagues, things like that. I was young, so I tried to stay in the game. When I think from the A League, American League at that time before MLS come up in New York City, so I had the opportunity to win a trial and make the team. So since then, I've been involved in professional soccer in America.
Coach, soccer isn't a massive sport here in America. Have you seen, the sport grow over the years since you've been in America?
Oh yeah, definitely. At all levels, at the top levels, at the amateur level. Back then, I say early '90s, you drove by any city, you see the kids, girls playing on American football, baseball, things like that. Today's days, you go around any city and there's soccer all over the city. Even on the streets, kids playing soccer all over. Back then, 30 years ago, wasn't the case. It was a lot of guys playing different sport by soccer.
Being from Colombia, being Colombian born, in immigrating here to the United States, I'm sure it was a little bit of a culture shock going from what soccer looked like or football over in that part of the world to where it is here in the U.S. How much of a culture shock was that coming to the States?
Well, that was different. As I said at the beginning, the language is a
Yeah, yeah,
big change. Not only from Spanish to English. I remember when I went to the Latin I mentioned, the New York Centers, we had Russian guys, Yugoslavian at that time. We had guys from Africa, so we're different cultures. So
yeah,
that's the first thing, which is a big change coming from Colombia. Second, as I say, in Colombia, soccer was everything. You play
yeah.
soccer at the school, on the streets with your friends, uh, at your club team or pro team. Back then, wasn't the case. Wasn't much soccer around the cities. But, as I say, but now it's totally different. Kids have the opportunity to play soccer everywhere, in a club, in a school, or when they made it to a pro level. So they had that opportunity.
Coach, your season kicks off here March 7th. You guys are taking on Phoenix Rising. Talk to me.
Yeah.
What's kind of the vibe like with the team? How's preseason preparation been going?
Preseason is going pretty well. I'm happy with how the guys came back from a long off season. It's not easy to be off 2 months, but the guys were very pro, uh, with a lot of disciplines, and they came back in a good shape to start preseason. So it's been good. It's been good. They look sharper. We had 10 more days to continue work and get ready for finish on March 7th.
And in that same way, obviously, you guys high expectations for the upcoming year. Anybody who has surprised you in their work leading up to the season? Anyone that we should really keep our eye on with your group?
Not really. I mean, as a group, we've been doing well. We have guys who stand up. We have guys who came back this year with the same quality as last year. Jorge Hernandez looks pretty short. Guys in the
Mm-hmm.
back, Alex Cornale, after 4 months
Yeah.
being out with an injury, he came back on preseason looking really good. So, and we have several guys who looks good. Guys who uh, nurtured the injuries last year. They came back this year in preseason looking good. Alex Grigo looks sharp in preseason as well. So,
I saw you guys played a couple of MLS sites in preseason. Houston Dynamo, Austin FC. How important is it to play against MLS sides in preseason? Is it kind of a measuring stick for you guys, or how do you guys operate? How do you guys look at it that way?
for us, it's really important. We play in a team who those teams who they're good. They have players with a lot of quality, So if we let's say test our players against that kind of competition, they're gonna learn. They're gonna uh, play as a group. They know they're facing a good team. So we need to stick together, play as a team to come up with good results. So there were two different games against Austin and then against Houston. But the most important thing is how we look, how the what we develop in those games. And I think I was happy for most part in both games. The Austin game was early in our preseason, and that week we work a lot on the defensive side, and I was happy the team behavior defensively in that game. So it was good preparation for us.
How close, in your opinion, and I think the USL continues to get better, and we've talked a lot about that. This league is just continuing to get stronger all around, and you've seen some of the best that the USL has to offer. Would you say the level of competition is catching up to that of Major League Soccer?
Well, I would say Major League Soccer is still ahead of us. Obviously for multiple reasons. Uh, the logistics, the investments on MLS on those things, obviously is different than USL. But what I can tell is me being a little bit more than a year in the USL, I saw the growth on this league. A lot of good players, quality players. The other thing is the opportunity for the young guys. We can see in the U17s, U20 national teams player who, who which is a good sign that the league is growing.
Yep.
And not only U.S. teams, other like Caribbean teams or African teams that we can tell we can send players to those groups. So that's a good sign that we're in the right path. We're growing. We're doing the right things, but little by little we can catch up.
You were introduced last year or in December of 2024 as the third head coach in San Antonio FC's history. Were there any learning curves that you learned along the way in your first season in San Antonio?
Well, yeah, a lot of things we learn, especially the league is very physical. It's a long season, and that we need to have a very deep squad. There's too many games. The travel part is a huge component in this league as well. Travel days are really long, so we need to have a good squad, deep roster to face every single game. So with the long season plus the USA Cup plus the US Open Cup, there's a lot of games, too many games. So we need to. That's something I learned, and the physical part of the season. So we need to have a good roster and make sure everybody's ready to step in.
I've heard a lot of different players talk about the evolution of the game of soccer itself over the years, and obviously with the decades that you've been involved in, now being a coach after being a player, how has the game itself changed in your mind, or has it changed at all?
In America or in the league, in our league.
I would say in America in general, just the sport of soccer, the way it's played.
Oof, big time. We did giant steps. Still room for us to grow, but imagine when early days in the A League or in MLS for me as a player, and then with the national team, compared today, is much great different, huge.
Mm.
Today we have a lot of players playing in the most important leagues around the world, not only in Europe but also in Mexico. Uh, so national team, if you see, there is only two or three who play local here in the States. Everybody else plays abroad. When I played for the national teams, I would say 60% of the players were from MLS. The other 40% were for European leagues, but most of those players played the lower leagues in Europe, not the big
Mhm.
leagues. Now we can see playing in Italian Serie A, Premier League, La Liga, also the French league. So that you can tell how fast soccer crew in the United States.
Yeah.
Last year you guys made the playoffs, lost to New Mexico United. What are your goals this season?
Our goal is to compete for the championship. Last year there was a sense like, okay, that was a good season. We made playoff. That was our first goal of the season, to make playoff. But no, I mean, we had to surpass that moment. It's just making playoff and being out on the first round is not enough. It's not enough for me. It's not enough for us, for our organizations. We have to set the standards really high. And this year we had to compete first to make playoff, and then compete to go to the championship game. That's our goal.
Is there a squad? Is there a team that comes to mind for you that you guys kind of have to get over the hump? Someone that you're circling on the schedule that you really want to test yourself against?
Well, there is a lot of good teams, good coaches, good players. I believe last year that you mentioned, New Mexico, that was one of the teams, very good coaching staff, good players, very talented. Sacramento, that was a solid team as well. I mean, in our conference, we had the opportunity to play from the East Coast, Charleston, very talented team, very good team. So, as I say, is every team is getting better and better, not only on the field, outside the field, good coaching staff. Uh, the teams looks more stronger now, with logistics, teams around building good practice facility as well. So everything is a component to become a good team. When you have good practice facility, when you have good stadiums, when you have a good environment. So that makes a team stronger. And I think that's the case at USL. Each team is growing big time in this league, that every year is harder and harder. So competition gets better. So we need to be ready and prepared well for that competition.
You guys added a center back earlier this month in Danny Babir, over 10,000 minutes logged in the USL Championship. How important is it to have a player like Danny in your back line?
Well, it's really important. As you say, Danny's a guy with a lot of experience, especially in the USL Championship. And since he's been here, he looks good. He looks comfortable. He's playing with a lot of confidence. We also had Thiago Suarez. We got on loan from New England Revolution. He's a young player, center back, who helped us a lot as well. So last year, something that we suffered, especially in the back, sometimes we miss Mitch Tainer, our captain, because injury. And then the last 3 months of the season, we lost Alex Cardinale with a shoulder injury as well. And then we had to, figure it out, playing players out of position. We played Mohamed Omar as a center back, him being a midfielder. We had to make things up at the last minute because we don't have a deep roster. That's what I was talking about earlier. So this year, make sure in the back we have plenty players, just in case one player goes down, the next one is ready to do the same or even better than the one who went down. The same thing we did with the outside backs, adding Emil Cuello and Akin Ward to the backline squad. So,
Would you feel you have a deeper squad this year all around?
we're still looking for a few other positions to fill in and make sure bring competition to those positions. That I would say everyday competition will make us better players and make us a better team.
All right, Coach. Last one here. Probably the most fun question. So we currently have a World Cup countdown going on right now. Every single day, we have a moment from just the World Cup counting us down to the final day. Coach, what would you say your favorite World Cup moment that you've ever seen ever?
uh, when we beat Portugal 3-2, and when we beat
Mm,
Mexico 2-0 in 2002 World Cup.
mm.
Hey, we like
because I
Mexico
lead
losing
I
Yeah.
2-0.
I lead that from the inside.
Yeah,
So
that's
those were my
great. Well,
two best moments, So I live it from the inside. So they were good moments. Ball
yeah,
games. No one gave us a penny for us beating those teams. Portugal in the group stage, and then Mexico the first time we played in a neutral side. No one gave us a penny again for the US, and we ended up beating Mexico 2-0. So that
yeah,
was a
Dos
good
a
moment too.
cero.
yep,
That's a
and
zero, correct.
in a big time game there too, Coach. We appreciate you dropping by, and best of luck with everything moving forward.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics.
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play,
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
Welcome back inside the game. Nate Wangler and Ryan Glinsky, joined by Colorado Springs Switchbacks head coach Alan McCann, joining us on Inside the Game. First off, Coach, thanks so much for stopping by.
Cheers, lads. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you taking the time out. We know, obviously, getting busy, getting ready for the season, getting everybody ready to roll. How have things been in training? How have the players been coming together? What does everything look like as you guys get ready for another long season?
Yeah, training's been very competitive. It's this past week has spiked, definitely because we're getting closer to season. We've steadily increased the physical load for the lads, and then continuously increased the mental load to see how they behave under those stressors, see what the reactions are going to be under duress. And then the group is really, really coming together as men. That was actually the very first thing we did in the very first week, is learning more about ourselves and learning the strengths, learning the weaknesses as men first, and then how that can bring us together, how we communicate together and actually bring us together more as a group first. And then we built into the football and to the physical side.
Coach, I saw that, recently you guys did a jersey reveal. I just got to say, these kits are pretty fire. I think they are awesome. And I thought you guys did a really good job with the kits, and then obviously doing a whole jersey reveal with kind of the community. What has been the community aspect? First off, do you even like the jerseys?
I love them. Yeah,
I love
I genuinely love them. Not because I'm on a camera. You'd know if I was giving you some BS. I genuinely love them.
I love them too. But the community base, you kind of did a little jersey reveal with them. What has been the community base for the Colorado Springs Switchbacks?
Well, it's been a big one for us, because when we sit down in the off season, especially, I think a lot of us that come from different countries that where football and soccer is the main sport, the club is everything in the community, and it kind of it's your beacon towards the community every single day, So it's what you grow up, and you can't pick your team. Your team is picked for you when you're born. And we should become that. I don't think it's quite there yet, but we have a fantastic fan base, and I think just making it more real and the connection, genuine love for it, and we have to do our part in that, and we have to take the lead in that. So genuinely, we just have to do more for the fans, and you can't just expect game day to be enough. And we actually have to get out into the community, learn the people, and become a part of it. Again, I say it all the time, but my son's born here, and I want this to be home for him, and I want young kids to love Matt Mahoney and love Juan Tejada and want to be the next one of them. And we should be the beacon of inspiration, regardless of if it's the main sport that people love or not. But it should be an identity of the town and the city. So I think that's the thinking behind at least that as a first event to kind of show our intent.
I think winning games is one way to certainly get the community behind you. But as you mentioned, there are so many other ways in which to reach out and to really touch people and to get them really involved. How else do you guys target the community and embrace the community in different ways?
Yeah, and you said get the community behind us. We see it. I genuinely see it the other way. We have to get behind the community. We have to be ingrained in it. We have to be involved in it. And what we've done is we've done a lot of pieces internally and not for PR and not for to talk about it on TV shows and put it on social media. It's actually getting in there and learning families, learning. Maybe there's people who aren't as privileged as us. We're in such a privileged spot. So maybe there's people in the community who need a dig out. They need help. And we should be there to genuinely help them. And because a lot of us have come from maybe not so affluent backgrounds, and this sport has been the reason we got out, and we're in a position to help and actually be it and create connections that are genuine. And that's been the way we've been doing it since realistically it's 3.5, 4 weeks that we've started it. And again, nobody's heard about it because we don't really want people hearing about it. We just want to go and we want to do the interactions and be part of these people's lives, and hopefully if it's good and if it's genuine, they want to be part of our lives, so we can actually build a community. I think it has to be real, and if it's got a hidden agenda behind it, and if it's not, if it's forced and if it's false, it's just not going to happen the way it needs to.
Coach, you mentioned Juan Tejada. You guys signed him to a 2-year contract extension this year. How big of a player is Juan Tejada to your team?
I'd say the player comes second. The man first of all. Everyone loves internally here. The fans, of course, they love him because they see what we see in the day-to-day. He refuses to give up. We did an early in-house game, and his team had a man sent off, and you would have thought his team were with the man up because of the amount he worked, he pressed, he rallied his team in that game, and his team in that internal game ended up winning despite being a man down. So that's the football side of it, but everyone responds to the human, and him and his family are just unbelievable people. Please just take time to get to know him a little bit more. You love him. But as the footballer too, he's a spark. He is aggressive. He's the very first player. The first year he got here, he's the very first player I've ever seen run through a cramp and then be fine after it. That was in RGV away in the middle of the summer. So that just gives you the insight to the mentality. He's never going to accept defeat. He's just going to refuse any sort of notion of defeat. And they're the men and the people we want in the building.
And I feel like you've had a lot of gutsy players under your time too, going back to when you were on the USL2 side with Philadelphia Union and what you did with those guys and building up to where you are now and joining the Colorado Switchbacks. What have you taken from that experience and brought it into this current role?
Yeah, well, that gave me so many huge lessons of things you just will not accept and things that are a must, that have to be there. The very first thing being the spine. Knowing that every man in that spine can be trusted when the going gets tough. They're all the first things you learn, because footballers and talent, that's the piece that everybody can see. That's the piece. It's very easy to look good when things are going well, but the test on the character was always the biggest lesson I got from that. And no matter where we've gone through that, it has just proven itself time and time and time again. When we've had good seasons, when we've had not so good seasons, 9 times out of 10, it's usually come down to when those characters are tested, how they're reacting. And that has to be the staff as well. We all have to be in on that too. We can't just tell them to be one thing. We have to be it as well. So if you get the spine right with that, that has been the biggest lesson. And then the second biggest is trusting people. Just trust them to be good at what they're doing and hold myself plus them to a certain level, a certain standard that we just refuse to drop below. And even when times go tough, just talk through it and hold each other accountable. Don't shy away from it. They're the two biggest lessons, and it's helped us so far in pre-season.
Coach, you joined the team back in 2021. Have kind of worked up your way up a little bit to obviously now head coach. Which, hey, I forgot to say, congratulations, by the way, on the new job title here, head coach here of the Colorado Springs Switchbacks. What have you learned in the the first couple of months as the new head coach here?
It's sticking to our principles. It's almost ingrained now in our brain and what we're seeing in, what are we, week 5, week 6. We're seeing how true that is in this environment. It might be different in other environments, but if we can get ourselves right, holding ourselves accountable to the standards we've set in here and not even consider outside noise, not even listen, it doesn't even enter in. We get that right, and they've been the lessons throughout since 2021 all the way to now, where you've seen the groups that throughout those years, when we've had success and we've pushed the boundaries each year for the club, that's what we want to keep doing. So there's been lessons in every single one of those years, but the biggest lesson is the same thing that I took from Reading, and it's the same thing I've taken from every coach who's been around. It's, you have to get that right. If you get that right and you get the humans right in the building, you obviously have to have talent. You have to have good footballers. You have to have, in moments, that small bit of luck. But if you rely on luck as a plan, you're done for from the start. So we're looking at making sure everything's right. The group, which I love, has talked since day one about being correct when we're tested in the difficult moments. So that's what we've done all pre-season, testing the difficult moments. So if we can be right in them, well, then we can be very, very good in the good moments.
I think one of the biggest parts of being a good coach and a good manager and the head man is being able to manage all the different personalities you have on a team. Sometimes it's a hard thing to do, but it's a really important thing. Are you sensing the buy-in from your group leading into the regular season?
Yeah, I think everyone's creating it. I think if I was to just sit there and say, hey, buy in, people are not going to do that. It's just not human behavior. You have to give them a reason why, and you have to give them, I believe what's always worked well when you're successful is that it's a bigger purpose than just one thing. Of course, we're here to win games, but there's a bigger purpose because of that. And we've got fathers in the building. They've got kids, young kids, and it's a good group of fathers. There's a big reason why we've got a community here that loves this club. We've got lads here that want to push on to bigger and better leagues and go on bigger, better opportunities. So there's so many reasons why that are bigger, but bringing us all together again, like I told you at the start, and learning about each other. Let's learn what all our whys are and learn what's going to be bigger than all of us, because you can mesh everyone together and then they define what's going to be successful for us. What's going to be the reason why when it's maybe you're down with 10 minutes to go, you push through and you end up winning the game. What's going to be the reason why when the going gets tough in usually those summer months when the schedule, we're able to grind through even though it's difficult, So that's I think that's been a very, very clear one.
Speaking of buying in, you guys won the USL Championship back in 2024. You were a part of it. What does it take to win a USL Championship?
For us in 2024, it was from probably the Pittsburgh game away onward. It was sticking to what we know we're good at, sticking to the strengths, executing on those strengths, and putting things in place to limit our own shortcomings that year. And then it was into a rhythm. Then it was building relationships, very, very few changes in the lineup in the back end of that season. Guys staying fit, staying healthy at the back end of that season. And then players showing up with big magic moments because they've all got it, especially the attacking players and things like that. Every single player, they've made it here for a reason. they've all got magic moments. So if they're free, if they're loose, if they're in a rhythm to do that while getting the principles of structure and things correct, well, then you can see magic moments. Like I'm just looking on the screen now of Yost crossing to Tejada. You know, one wasn't supposed to be in that role. He wasn't supposed to be a second 9 on the day, but because he sees it and he sees the moment, and Yost is able to connect on the cross, you've got two players that showed a bit of magic and they're confident enough to go and do it. You know, everyone talks about confidence, and you know, confidence is so easy to take away, and so many factors can take that away. But real confidence, when it's self-confidence, it can be put in place, and it's a freedom to make mistakes. It's a freedom to go, and a striker has maybe missed 4 chances. Well, go and miss the 5th, because if he feels like he's stiff and he's rigid, we learned those lessons last year. If they feel stiff, they feel rigid, you're not going to see the magic you saw in front of goal in 2024.
Do you feel as if that championship in 24 has helped you build into the future? Like it's kind of built off of itself in terms of adding new players, but also keeping a strong core around?
I would say the hangover had more lessons in it than the win. I would say 25 had way more lessons than 24, because it exposed you cannot go away from your core of people. You can't replace, and you cannot not replace key pieces up the spine and key leaders that helps you get there. You have to, if you have success, build on that. You can't let the core of people who were solid in those moments, you cannot let them go. Or if you do let them go, make sure you have better coming in. Because that's the natural order of football, right? Someone maybe hits a certain age and they want to move on, or they retire, or things like that, and they've done really good for the club. So you have to kind of move on to the next. Well, that person coming in can't be of lesser trust in the key moments and in the difficult moments. I think that there's bigger lessons in 25 than there was in 24.
You made a handful of signings this offseason. Is it taking some time, a little bit longer for them to mesh together up to this point, or are they meshing pretty well?
They're meshing. They are absolutely meshing pretty well. Because I think what's helped is the people who've come in are now more of a match to the core and you know, key leaders that were here that got kept on and got renewed. So they're seeing more of the same principles, whereas maybe that was different at the start of 25. You know, you kind of had a split in the locker room in 25, but we've got people here now who are more of a mesh, first of all. But we've also then talked about everyone's differences. We've done a small little, not that it's an exact science, but we've done a small little personality test with the staff and with the players, just to show everybody, you know, listen, this isn't an exact science, but take a look at the differences within us. Take a look at the similarities within us, the strengths and weaknesses of each characteristic. And in this moment, he might behave like that, and now you understand why. So that's been, and we've had a lot of those discussions. And we started that from week 1. We didn't even get into tactics. We didn't get into shape, nothing like that from week 1. I think it's important we get this dressing room and these people together first and foremost.
That test that you recently just started that?
From week 1, we started talking about it. Week 2 or week 3, we did the test and gave the results to all the players and all the staff, and then went 2 to 3 levels down on that and going, okay, well, here's who we are. This is the makeup of who we are. And, you know, these characteristics serve a purpose in this, and they're strong in this situation. And these characteristics are maybe stronger in that situation. And then we've gone 2 to 3 layers down to be able to discuss that and go, you know, well, maybe I'm not so good in this moment, but if I'm led correctly in that moment, I can be unbelievable to help, because I'll be a big supporter in behind. I'll do the work. I'll be a yes sir, no sir type of guy. Some guys are not that. Some guys are, I'm leading the charge. Like Juan Tejada, I'm leading the charge. We're going. He doesn't need organization. It doesn't really need to be, you know, perfectly planned. But whatever the bullets are flying, he's going towards it, and he's bringing everybody along with him. So we've got a better understanding now of who we are than definitely week 1.
Adrian Perez a guy you brought in this year, 2-year contract. He scored 2 goals in your friendly. How well has he been playing in preseason? What are you expecting from him this year?
Yeah, I think in every time now that he's been in a specific role for us in preseason, he's popped up with something, either assist or a goal. He's had actually a couple of games where he's had multiple goals. He's I think he feels the leash is off a little bit more now because he's got more freedom to express himself and more freedom to be a little bit more creative. Now Louisville are fantastic, so I think maybe for him he feels it was a bit too rigid for him in particular. But he's a fantastic human being. Again, he can be trusted when the going gets tough. He's we do a lot of background on our signings, and first of all we do character references. So the 4 to 5 character reference on him, there was zero doubt in how he is when the going gets tough. Zero doubt in him in the locker room and as a teammate. So that's been a huge one. Talon Maples has been a huge one. Colin Shuttler's been a huge. Everything up the spine. Corey Bennett. Yeah, and then we're really excited about some of the younger guys as well. It's a nice mesh, but the spine has been very, very impactful, both off the field as men and on field for us.
Alan, I appreciate you taking the time to come out to talk with us. I know Ryan's got one more to wrap up this interview once I'm done, but I am curious. The World Cup coming up here in the United States. What are you looking forward to the most with the world's biggest tournament coming here to our shores?
Well, selfishly, I'm looking for our 2 players to come back healthy because we're losing Duke and Garv for the Haiti game. So hopefully they come back fit and healthy. But I think it's just amazing if you can get to go and see those games, if you can get to be around it. It's that fever atmosphere. It's just hopefully people over here in this side of the world get to see why we love it a little bit more, and it becomes so ingrained in your blood. And it can be, let's see, but it can be a spark for a new generation to fall in love
100%.
with the sport. Especially if it's local and they get to see how much it means. I think even to grown adults, if you see mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers in the stadium and they're crying because their team has won, crying because their team has lost. That just sparks something in you. So that's what I'm looking forward to see. But yeah, first and foremost, that Duke and Garv come back healthy. Fingers crossed.
I thought you were going to say Ireland to qualify for the World Cup.
Listen. Don't give me hope. The hope kills you. We're in the playoff now, and it's the hope. It's the hope that if they make it, I might have to resign maybe, so I can go to those games.
Coach, I'm an Arsenal fan, so the hope kills every single time. So it's just pain and pain.
Now,
I get it. But
yeah, you're feeling it right now with the hope.
But anyway, so here at the National Soccer Network, we do a counting down the days to the World Cup, and we do a different World Cup moment every single day, counting down. I forget which one I did today for the moment, but just posted it on social media. To you, what is your best World Cup moment that you've seen?
That I've actually physically seen was in a qualifier, was Ireland versus the Netherlands in, what year was that? It was the qualifier for the tournament in when we had the Roy Keane Saipan incident. It was the qualifier for South Korea and Japan.
Oh, yeah. That was actually one of the moments I did the other day, was the Roy Keane incident.
Yeah, well, that was the afters. But what got us there is I got to see Roy Keane in that game. Very first minute, he smashes Mark Overmars, and the crowd just erupts. We had no business beating them that day. And then Jason McAteer scored, and we beat them that day. So mine's a qualifier. And then the biggest memory I have is that World Cup that came up when we went to play Spain in penalties. And I literally, for the first time in my life, I couldn't watch a game of football. I had to walk out of the room. I think I was, I don't know, what age was I, 12, 13. And we lost. We could have won. But yeah, that's a bad memory. But the good memory was watching, physically being there and watching Roy Keane that day. It was unbelievable.
Actually, one of the moments I did was Ireland won a PK shootout. I forget exactly what year it was, but that is one of the moments that's coming up down the line. You guys won a PK shootout in the World Cup.
Yeah, see, it's the hope that kills you. Told you. The hope that kills you.
Well, I hope they get in this year. I really do.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. It would be unbelievable.
Well, even as U.S. men's national team fans, we have to tamper our expectations a lot of times. So hopefully we are pleasantly surprised in 2026. Alan, appreciate you stopping by the show.
Thanks for having us, guys. Cheers.
Experience the thrill that came like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
whether it's a championship win or a legendary play.
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
Turn your mic on, my man. Welcome back to Inside the Game, episode 238. Nate, I can finally see your levels. There we go.
There we go. All right, we're back. Sorry. Yeah, had to turn the mic back on. I was muting it because I was typing. I was looking for something, and I didn't want the typing to come through in the interviews. But great conversations with both of those
you'd be
two.
muted, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Oh, that's true. I feel like I've heard myself through the commercials before. Anyways, I don't know what's going on. But great talk with both of those two. Alan was cracking me up at the end, man. I hope that Ireland
Is it
finds
just
a
'cause
way
he's
to
Irish?
not
Is
only
that's probably just the
it might
reason.
it might partially be that, or it might partially be that he literally said he may retire if they end up making it. So it's like that's a very. I'm sure the school or the program itself is probably like, let's kind of hope Ireland maybe doesn't make it, so that our head man doesn't bail on us. But great conversation with those two.
Yeah, no, they were great. We talked a little bit before about what they had to say, and nothing's changed. I thought it was really good interviews on both sides and really good perspectives on where each of those teams who lost in the first round of the USL Championship playoffs and what they're trying to do to improve that and, get out of the first round and make a deeper run.
So getting a little bit into, I know we got a few things that we wanted to touch on. DCFC building a new stadium. I know we've talked about them kind of breaking ground on this new stadium. They're going to be knocking down a abandoned hospital. Has not been used
down the hospital. They
in
demolished it completely
Southwest
yesterday.
Detroit, where they are going to be building that stadium. So let's chat about this a little bit, Ryan, before we get into our all sports content. I know we're right at about the 10 o'clock hour, but we just came back from a break, so we can get into this a little bit. But did knock down the hospital, building that new stadium for Detroit City FC. And I think it's an exciting opportunity for a lot of reasons, Ryan. And I think one of the biggest reasons for me personally watching, the city of Detroit, and I know I'm not from there, but the one thing that we all can kind of look at when it comes to the 313 is that they are slowly bringing the city back, but it's a block by block approach. I feel like a lot of times, typically you'll see, they'll fix up this block and then they'll move to the next one, but you're seeing certain parts of the city coming back in one way or another, reviving itself, kind of building from the bottom up. I think of an area like, I think Corktown is probably a good example. There used to be, once upon a time, that area was not considered very good. There's a reason why, the Tigers moved downtown. It was rough over there. It wasn't really a place you kind of hung out around, even after games. Like it kind of reminds you a little bit of like what the White Sox are dealing with on the south side. Like it's just, it's got character and it's old and everything, but ever since then, that area has come back. You know, the old Tiger Stadium, they've turned it into now apartments surrounding that field that I know Kaz Tech uses, and it's a great facility. And you've seen an influx. Yeah, you can say gentrification, sure, but you've seen an influx of younger people coming into the area and starting businesses and doing these things. And so I think what's cool about what we've seen from Detroit City FC and building this new stadium is that maybe, you know, they'll be able to revive the area around where this stadium is going to be.
Well, it's already
kind
being
of
revived. Even before
well, that's the
DCFC
thing,
got
but
there.
right, but it'll be another layer on top of that. And I feel the same way about like with the Grand Rapids team that's moving into town. Yeah, I mean, is it becoming more crammed? Sure, but I think what's more exciting is that it's going to bring more people to downtown, which is I think where Detroit wants to continue to get. And I think this is just again adding another layer on top of that. It's just another example of a team that is moving to a part of the city that, you know, would like to see more of an influx of people coming actually into town to see these games. And so I think it'll look really cool. I've seen the blueprints of what the stadium is actually going to look like, and I'm really excited for it. I just want to make sure that I get to, and I don't even know if it's a possibility anymore, because are they officially out of Keyworth now, or do they have one more season left?
They're still at Keyworth.
In Keyworth Stadium. They're still at Keyworth? Okay, I got to get one more game in there before I head over to the new place. But I don't know. I've seen the plans for it, and it looks sick, personally.
Yeah, Aluminum 5 Field looks good on paper, but nothing's been built yet. They've just destroyed the hospital. But that area where was revived with Michigan Central, which is the old train station for the people who don't know. It's now called Michigan Central. It's a really nice area over there now. Last summer, I had a chance to tour not tour, but go to the museum that they created on the ground floor. Obviously, the majority of the train station is used for Ford. I believe it's Ford. Ford in their new innovation area, I guess. I don't know exactly what it's used for, but no, it's a brilliant area over there. And it's to the right a little bit of the train station if you're looking on it directly on. But no, that area it's already being revived as it is, and Detroit City FC hopefully can revive it even more. But it's already being revived, and it's a wonderful area over there. If you haven't had a chance to go to Michigan Central at some point, you have to. What they did with that place, what the inside of that place looks like, and it even shows what it used to look like on the inside, and it's what they did with it. I don't know. I don't even know how they did it, and some of the things that they're able to kind of repurpose, I guess. It taking old things that were just stuck there, and now you have and even some of the things that they found inside Michigan Central where they're like, yeah, they found this in this part of Detroit, and they found this just being covered in some abandoned building. Like, it's actually kind of cool, like where some of the abandoned stuff that was on the old train station is now back in it, and they're like, there's stories of how they found the clock in some abandoned warehouse like down the street or something. It's crazy. But no, that area of Detroit is kind of in the next phase of revitalization in that city, and Detroit's constantly on the come up. And then yesterday I actually drove by the first Detroit City FC stadium, which was played at Kaz Tech on their football field. So I've been by that one, been to Keyworth, but I will say this. I'll miss Keyworth when it comes down to when it comes to its end. It's their final season this year. It's an unbelievable stadium. The walk up, I feel like, through the neighborhoods to ultimately get to Keyworth. It feels like that European feel, I guess you could say, that lower league European feel where it's like the fourth or fifth division, and you're heading down there and you're walking with the fans to get to the stadium. Because look at it, all American stadiums in this country, for massive sports are all in cities. It's in between skyscrapers, stuff like that. And in soccer, their massive cities are still in neighborhoods for like the top teams in England. Man City's Man City's more a little bit in the city, but Arsenal, Old Trafford, Anfield, that's all in neighborhoods. And it's still walking into Keyworth, you get that feel. You don't get that American sports feel, I guess. I can't really explain it, but walking through those neighborhoods, those houses in tight areas, just like it is in England. And no, it's wonderful to see. And I'll be, whenever Keyworth because I don't know, maybe the stadium won't be built in a year. Maybe they will have to extend their time at Keyworth. Whenever that final game is, it'll
Yeah.
be sad for sure.
Yeah, and it's all about creating a destination, and that is a destination at Keyworth. I mean, it. JT knows it. Obviously, he's been to a lot of games, and he's talked about bringing the family to games. But I think the new stadium will be that as well, and that is a conversation we've had a lot of times, on this show. And I think the Alan McCann talk, it's kind of funny how these conversations parlay their way into our talking points, because I think he made a really good point when he talked about how, it's not necessarily the community, responding to them, it's them responding to the community. What can they do as a club to really attract the people that are around the club? And I think there's really kind of there's always been a homegrown kind of tone to Detroit City FC, which is, I think, what makes them such an attractive club to the people that live in the Detroit area. They've always been very much about the city. They've always been very much about the 313. And so to add on top of the history that has seen the revival in the area of the city that they're moving to, and add a new destination that is going to look really cool. Now, I know they haven't really built anything yet, but if it turns out looking like what the blueprints are, it's going to look pretty sick. And again, all of this to say, it's just going to give people who are not in the city limits of Detroit a reason to come into the city and enjoy what the actual Detroit city has to offer. Because people, again, we talk about, Detroit, a lot of people say they're from Detroit, but they're from the outsides of Detroit, or they haven't actually been in the city, or they don't go in the city a lot. They only go in for, again, it would technically be going in for sporting events, but it's just another reason to continue to bring fans to the city and to an area of the city that, as you mentioned, has seen a lot of revival. So I think it's building a lot of momentum, and again, they're staying true to their roots. I think that's the important thing too, is that being a Detroit-based team, they're staying inside the city. They're staying in the heart of the city, and so that is really important as well. They're not like retreating to like an area of the suburbs or something else along those lines. So I'm excited to see, and obviously to be able to knock down another, building that isn't really being used in the city and build something else new there, I think is also really cool too. Cause I think that's been a big part of the bringing Detroit back, is just like the old abandoned areas. How do we put something here? How do we bring some sort of life back to this part of the city or this part of the city? And so I think Detroit City FC is just that this is their role in this collective rebuild of the city of Detroit. So I think it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think that they want to stay in the city of Detroit. I mean, they started in Cass Tech, so in the city of Detroit.
Yeah.
But when you have an opportunity like Keyworth,
Right there, right in the middle.
yeah, like a historic Keyworth, as they say,
Yeah.
to stay,
Yep.
kind of. I think when you have that opportunity, you're gonna take it. It's not a massive stadium, but since I think 2022 when they beat the Columbus Crew, I think it was 2022 they beat the Columbus Crew in the U.S. Open Cup. I feel like things kind of got going a little bit, because at that point in time, there was no playoffs in Detroit. There was no playoff sports in Detroit. Red Wings sucked.
Yeah, there was nothing. Yeah,
Tigers
everybody
sucked.
sucked.
Lions
Uh-huh.
were trash. They just won 3 games. The Pistons were trash. And then so you kind of had a couple of, Cade might be good. Spencer Torkelson might be good. Amon-Ra might be good. Like, there was really nothing in the city of Detroit. And all of a sudden you get them. They play Louisville City. They lose in penalties. But you kind of get that. Like, I remember being in the walk up to that point, and everyone's just like saying, like, oh my gosh, playoff sports in Detroit are back right now. Like, we don't get this anymore. And I think ultimately that's kind of, they kind of benefited a little bit of the other teams just being trash a little bit. But no, it's created. The Northern Guard has done a really good job with their fan supporter group. And they always have like a view. I forget where the viewing party is all the time for all the away games, but they always have stuff going on. They're very community oriented. Very own Neil Rule does a really good job on the broadcast every single time. And it's great to see that there's a soccer team, and I don't want an MLS side in this country, or in this state, I should say. I don't want an MLS team because I think the way that Detroit City FC has been growing and the way that, they've been building their own fan base, and, they're not a bad team. They make the playoffs all the time, and the actual USL playoffs, I should say, not just the Open Cup, but the USL champ playoffs they make, and I think they won this year as an 8 seed. They upset the number 1 seed. So it's great to see that there's another playoff team in Detroit, and it's not just the Lions or not just the Tigers and the Pistons. And hopefully we can get the Red Wings in there and we'll have like one whole year of like every single Detroit team making the playoffs.
That would be nice. And I think they deserve more media attention too. All the memes of the Detroit sports scene. It's like, everyone's having fun, and then Detroit City FC is like over here because they don't. And obviously because it's soccer, I think that's the biggest reason why they probably don't get the attention that they, I think, rightfully deserve. But this stadium will certainly be.
We need a title, guys. Lions, you guys are listening. We need a title. Tigers, we need a title. Pistons, we need a title.
Yeah, need something. Yeah. So, but it'll be really cool to go see a game there once that's all wrapped up and once it's all finished. I know they continue to work on the soccer stadium here in Grand Rapids, is just right off the highway over here. So it'll be an MLS Next side that'll be here in GR. So it'll be cool.
Which team?
It's I don't know I don't think they have a name or a mascot yet. Maybe they do. I got to go look. I got to see, but it'll be here in GR. Let me see if they
Athletic Club Grand Rapids.
Athletic Club Grand Rapids. All right, there you go. Yep. So yeah, so
Amway
that'll be
Stadium.
Amway Stadium. Right where there used to be a YMCA down there, but they literally plopped it in the middle of downtown. So it'll be certainly be fun getting in
There's
and out
not
of there,
a ton of pro sports down there, right? You got the Griffins and
minor league. Well, minor league, I guess. So right, so you got the Whitecaps, you got AHL because you have the Griffins. Then you have the Nuggets G League affiliate and the Gold. And then the only major league team we have is Major League Volleyball, and that's the Grand Rapids Rise.
Oh, that's
so they're part of the MLV.
Gosh, what's their name? They're the CMU volleyball coach. Oh, they took the job there. Golick, right?
What is her name?
It's the husband and the wife. They're the coaches there. Because Ariel Wilson took over the job this year at CMU because they went.
Kathy George. Yeah, Kathy George.
Golick's not the head coach?
Wait. Head coach and vice president of volleyball operations for the Grand Rapids Rise. Yeah, Kathy George.
The volleyball
So maybe
team?
it's another team in Major League Volleyball. Grand Rapids Rise.
I don't know. We'll figure it out after the break. Tell us about
Kathy George.
Tell us about
let's take a
Barca.
I'll tell you about Barca. Let's get into that. Proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network and the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States. Designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18, Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30. Again, that's FCB30. Or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I see my son grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca camp.
We are back live on Inside the Game, episode 238, with Nate Wangler and Ryan Glinsky. Wherever you're watching us here today, whether that be on Roku or on YouTube, getting deeper into our show. Second topic here in hour number 2. Ryan, we already kind of mentioned, yesterday we were talking about it a little bit in length. Obviously, the cartel violence in Mexico has seen a spike. We've seen certain destinations in the country, tourist destinations that are otherwise very safe and secure, that have been attacked. Obviously there are a lot of bad stuff going on, and obviously the president stepped up yesterday and said that it should all be sorted out. We'll be good to go for the World Cup. Again, I said yesterday that I don't really know the ins and outs of the situation, but hopefully Mexico can get that figured out. But we also talked about, obviously, the U.S. and Canada. Canada tends to believe that maybe they can host it themselves if things go sideways. But the bigger story here in the U.S. has to do with there are now a handful of different cities who are taking issue with the way that FIFA is doing business. Obviously, the conversation started with Foxborough, and that clip absolutely went nuclear on social media. I think it has over 110,000 views right now. And I think it's because it strikes a chord with certain people, but Ryan, apparently that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, there's yesterday 11 host cities went to Congress to plead that things aren't in order, and they're afraid of a potential catastrophe on top of their hands. It says local officials from 11 U.S. host cities testified before Congress, warning that a lack of federal coordination and insufficient funding could lead to a catastrophe when the 2026 World Cup begins in just over 100 days. Cities like Foxborough are threatening to withhold necessary FIFA hosting licenses unless the federal government or organizers provide immediate clarity and guaranteed funding for millions of dollars required for local public safety. We talked about Foxborough, yes, I think it was last week, but yeah, that's the issue right now. It doesn't list the 11 cities, but it says 11 host cities. So yeah, I guess we can just decipher which ones is which.
Yeah. It's what's amazing to me is that the immediate response, at least from the peanut gallery, like we've seen in the comment sections, is that, well, you're going to make X amount of money on this tournament with all these people coming to your city. So just be grateful. Just pay the amount of money. Just pass that bill off to the people of the city because it's an honor to have the World Cup. And just deal with it, right? So just deal with it. Just take it out of everybody else's pocket. We know that this is a FIFA tournament, but you have to front the bill. It is just asinine to me because of one reason and one reason only. This is a FIFA tournament. And if you are bringing your tournament to the United States, you have to be able to provide some level of guarantees, both FIFA and the United States government, that there are going to be resources provided that help with the security for the event. Because again, we talked about, and you mentioned this, Ryan, like security is the biggest question mark here in the U.S. with this event. Like, do we have the necessary security and the necessary people in place to be able to make sure that this runs smoothly because of the influx of the millions of people that are going to be coming to the U.S. and are going to be taking up these public spaces that generally they aren't there. And this is far different than just an NFL game on a Sunday. This is far different than the NBA or any other sort of domestic league. Like, you get used to having those games on a Sunday for the people in Foxborough. Like, they know how to navigate themselves. It's all predictable. The World Cup is not that. The World Cup is far greater than any of that. We've already mentioned that many a times. The reason why this is problematic is not that they're not excited about the amount of money they're going to make in the World Cup. The thing that is problematic right now is that if we can't pay our security team, whether that be cops, whether that be people at the venue, whether that be people that are working in any other area in and around the stadium, if we can't provide them with funds in an efficient, timely manner without passing that off to the people of our city who they didn't ask for the World Cup to be here. I'm sure Foxborough and I'm sure the organization and I'm sure a lot of other people thought they did, but not necessarily everybody was like clamoring for it. But instead of passing that off for them, they want some guarantees that they can have that money so that they can be able to pay those people so that it can go well. Because the only way that this is going to stimulate the economy for these cities and these towns is if it goes well. If it doesn't go well, And if it ends up being an unbridled, unfiltered mess, then it could do a lot more damage than good. Not just for Foxborough, but for the 10 other cities that have gone to Congress and gone, hey, FIFA doesn't know what they're doing. FIFA came into our town and stuck us with an $8 million bill and said, be grateful that we're here, pay us our money. So that's what is, and again, I'm not surprised that Foxborough isn't the only one. They were just it made them look ungrateful because it was the one city that we were talking about. But now that we have 10 other cities that are like, no, actually, Lil Bro actually has a point over here. He's not Boston. He walks around like he is Boston, but he's not. He's just he's a drive-through town, which I think that's interesting. I think majority of businesses in Boston might see a stimulus. I don't know about Foxborough. Foxborough's a drive-through city. Like, you would drive to Foxborough from Boston to see the matches. Either way, they're all saying, listen, he's not alone. He has a point in what he's trying to say. Of course it's an honor. Of course it's an honor, but it's a little scary, right? Like, if someone's going to have like a Project X party and I'm responsible for making sure that there's security there, if I don't have the money to do it, and now I'm asking other people to loan me money to do it, it's like, yeah, that's very scary to not have ample security and everything else that you need. And it's probably a ridiculous amount of people in a workforce to make a tournament like this work, especially with the expanded field.
Yeah, so I just searched up a couple of numbers here. It is expected that the World Cup is supposed to generate $11 billion. $11 billion, which is going to be the most ever in the history of the World Cup. And then looking at other cities that are projected, East Rutherford in New Jersey is expected to make $67 million. Seattle is expected to make $51 million. Atlanta expected to make 52, Arlington, Texas 58, Inglewood, California 59. So the projections are there for them to make money. I just think the issue is, like you've mentioned, it's the security that, like, we have to have the $8 million before we put the $8 million down, because it's all projections right now. It could go completely sideways. For all I know, we could get like no one ever coming to these cities to watch the World Cup games, which it could be a possibility. Do I think that happens? No, because I think it's the World Cup and it happens every 4 years, and everyone is going to be itching to just get to the World Cup and try to watch these games. Yeah. But I just think it's the security that the security blanket that is, we need this money beforehand and then eventually get to the World Cup, because you don't want to be in debt by $8 million to start something right away when there is like supposedly a guarantee that you're supposed to get this money back. But maybe at the same time, FIFA's like, well, they're just going to keep the $8 million to themselves because you made X amount of money with the revenue. Look, all these cities are going to make a lot of money, if we're being completely honest. But it's just up for FIFA to put it down, to put the money down first and right away. And they're not doing that. Maybe they're just trying to put some other things going around. I mean, FIFA deals with a lot of different competitions all around the world. It's not just the World Cup. I mean, the World Cup's the biggest, but I think that these cities are going to make more than $8 million. I think that's going to be the case. So they're going to make more money. I think the hotels, the shops, the restaurants, they're going to make money, and ultimately that's going to be taxed, and then it goes back to the city. So the city's going to make money. I think they're going to make more than $8 million. It's just that FIFA isn't doing anything. And if we look at Mexico, I mean, they're dealing with their own situations. Something that we don't need to get into. But Canada. I mean, do we really think Canada's going to be able to do it by themselves? I mean, they're so bitter that they lost in the Olympics, though they might burn the city down for all their cities down for all we know. Yeah. I mean, but no, if we're talking about, some people are like concerned about the infrastructure, because I saw a couple of comments on Twitter about, the infrastructure is not there for the U.S. to do it. I go, what are you talking about? If there was one tournament, if there was a place in this world where you can host the Olympics every single time in one spot, and you can host the World Cup in every single spot, the United States would be one of those countries that you don't have to build anything. Maybe you have to build a couple things just for logistics purposes, but you don't have to build $100 million stadiums all the time, or maybe with SoFi $1 billion stadium all the time. Yeah. But it's just, there's a lot of issues surrounding the World Cup, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Maybe I paid attention the most to it because not only being on the show, but also being at the same time it being in the United States. but
Yep.
every single area has had issues, and it seems to be figured out. But at the same time, I also think the United States cities has a reason to not lay down to FIFA, if that makes sense. Like Brazil,
No, yeah.
they kind of had to lay down to FIFA at the same time, like those Brazilian cities, if you think about it, because, they had to build new stadiums, and, Brazil paid a lot of money to even get this thing. And it's like, well, this thing's happening regardless if you like it or not. Same thing with South Africa. Russia, I'm sure there was probably something, but the United States cities have a reason to kind of, stand up for themselves, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. And to your point, not only is it that it's in the United States, but yeah, we are on this show. So I think I am personally, and I have been kind of getting a crash course over the last couple of months and really in the lead up to this World Cup about how FIFA does business. You can have everyone tell you until they're blue in the face how FIFA works, but I guess until you actually get an understanding, because it's in your country, you don't really understand it. But no, there is no reason for them to roll over. And I think that's the hard thing that FIFA's running into. And I saw a comment yesterday in one of our videos that's like, they don't need the United States. They should just go back to Brazil and do it. It's like, okay, well, I mean, if you're
I don't
talking
know if the
about a
Brazilian
country
stadiums are
that
still there.
that's the entire point. I guess if FIFA wants someone who's just going to bend over backwards and not ask any questions, then yeah, I'm sure Brazil would be a great place. But they see the potential in the United States. It's just, I'm sure it's troubling to them that this is a country that's actually like, oh, this is bad business practice. Okay, then we're not doing it. Unlike some other countries that are just, they don't care. Like, it's just like, well, whatever. Like, people die building the stadium. Oh, well, people die all the time. So for anybody to just assume that like Brazil would somehow be a better place to have this in the U.S., no offense to the Brazilian people, it's a very proud soccer culture. I'd never take anything away from Brazil and what, but like, it's not, from a humanitarian perspective, I think we're being a little ridiculous when we start making those comparisons. But no, it's, you're right. They don't have a reason to roll over. And yes, they are going to make a lot of money. And everybody keeps drilling this point home. Okay. But it's not good business practice to go into debt in the assumption that you're just going to make all that money back. It's like, you don't spend all the money in your bank account with like, yeah, you're gambling is what it is, right? You don't spend all the money in your bank account being like, oh, I have a job, I'll make my money back. Like, no, that's not good business practice. I don't care if I don't care who's coming to your town. You just don't do it. And so if it's bad business practice and if it's a bad look, and I'm not going to put all the blame on FIFA either. I think it's a little ridiculous if we're going to go and just put all the blame on FIFA. A lot of this has to do with our government. Like, has our government been able to efficiently and effectively guarantee that these funds will be provided to these places so that they can have security? Our government has the money. And I'm never one that's ever going to be like, I'm never one that's going to be like, hey, the government should spend less. No, the government should spend what they need to spend so that this can go well, so that we can get rid of this heartache. But I think it's a two-pronged approach for these cities. Number one, it's like, FIFA, what the hell? And also US government, hey, you're leaving us out to dry here. So that is, it's a big ask for these places to go up against those two organizations. But yeah, I think you and I are both just kind of getting a crash course on who FIFA is and how FIFA does business recently. And I think it's just kind of eye opening a little bit.
We've always known how FIFA operates. There's a whole Netflix documentary on it before the 2022 World Cup about how it's all corrupt.
Really?
Huh?
Really? There's a documentary?
Yeah, there was a whole documentary on Netflix before the 2022 World Cup that came out about the whole because it all happened with, oh gosh, I forget what year it happened, but the old president and then the press, throwing money at him because during a press conference because of certain things and certain bribes he was taking, where certain money was going. I mean, look, it's every big organization. There's going to be some sort of conspiracy, some sort of money thing, like any league here in America, like the NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA. I'm sure there's some fishy stuff that goes on. But FIFA, is notorious for all this stuff, and it's happened since, I believe they said, I think it originally started like their corruptness kind of 60s, 70s, something like that, 50s. Like it started a long time ago, and it's still going on right now. And there's just certain things that are going on with, this World Cup that scares me a little bit, but at the same time, I still have this, not hope, but like this kind of just know that like it's going to be fine, I guess, just because of there's been World Cups in way worse spots, and
and at way worse times.
and it was just fine.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be okay. But just that little bit of security for certain situations and certain logistic things that I would hope works out.
And here's the reason why this is so scary. And here's the reason why that I am passionate about this, and what I was saying about Foxborough and the guarantees is that FIFA realizes I do like Tom Brady. What a guy, man. All that plastic surgery has really gotten him, staying young. Anyways, no, the thing that is, and I don't want to go there, right? But it always pays in life to consider the worst case scenario, right? Because you don't have to live that way. You don't, hold on. You don't always have to live that way. It's not like you have to be like everywhere you go, oh, this is going to be the worst thing ever. That's not it. But it always pays to consider that might happen, to have it in the back of your head, because if it doesn't happen, okay, then, but if it does, you're ready for it. When it comes to working security for an event like the World Cup and having the guarantees that they can have that money to be able to provide these people in a timely manner, in some ways, I feel like is these cities considering what the worst case scenario could be. Ryan, you have people from all over the world that are coming to this tournament, and they're all going to be gathered in one place, in a building, in bars, anywhere else. That opens a major opportunity for anyone if they want to do something, again, I don't want to talk about it. It's not like I don't want to go there, but I'm just saying, right? Like, but that's the world that we live in. So this is why
it is a glass half empty type of guy. Wow.
I'm a glass half reality kind of guy, right? So like we gotta realize that this is the world we live in. And so this is why it's important. I get they're gonna make more money on the back end, but this is, I know we've talked about this topic probably 3-4 separate times, but this is the world, and this is the world in which we live. And so you got to think about these things. You have to think about these things.
Nate, I got some advice for you, my man.
Unfortunately.
Listen to some happy music every now and again. It'll cheer you up. It'll make you think positively. Man, that just go to a dark place real quick. I mean, wow.
Like, the CIA is on us now. We're on a list somewhere, our show. So here, I'm sorry,
Nate, JT. After the show for like 10 minutes, listen to some Motown music, probably, because that always cheers me up. I don't know what cheers you up, but go listen to some happy, cheerful. Listen to I always said this song is like, you can't be sad during this song. Mr. Blue Sky or something. I think that's the name of the song. You can never be sad, or you can only be happy in that song. I firmly believe that. I don't even listen to that song that often. I probably should, but like every time I hear it, I'm like,
it's a banger.
I'm like, man, this is kind of like I feel happy now. Like I feel good about myself. So after the show, Nate, I need you to go listen to Mr. Blue Sky for like 20 minutes straight. Feel happy about yourself, because man, that went dark. It got dark quick.
Yeah, or Three Little Birds by Bob Marley, or One Love, or whatever.
Okay.
I'll go one of those directions.
Yeah,
I feel you.
Be positive, my man. Be positive.
We're doing okay. That's all right. World's sunshine and rainbows, until it's not, until it's darkness and clouds and lightning and, so anyways. No, but I'll definitely do that. But that's all I'm saying. It's something important to keep in mind, that, you got to keep the people safe, and you got to make sure the traffic runs efficiently, and you got to make sure that, the other thing is like people like overcrowding or like piling into the stadium or climbing over things.
Happened before. That happened in the Copa America semis or Copa America finals.
Yep.
I don't remember. But the Colombians, they were going through the air vents of the stadium, and I mean, also there was I know we're a little sidetracked here, but there was a
no, you're good.
Oh, from Sammy. He says, greetings from Aruba. Greetings to you too,
Sammy. What's up, Sammy?
We're in cold Michigan. So enjoy that. Enjoy that,
Chilly.
my man.
Chilly. Yeah.
Let us know how warm it is. Because, God, it's freezing. It's like 10 degrees this morning when I went in my car. I was like, I thought we were done with this. Anyway, but there was actually in 2020, or 2021 is the 2020 Euros or whatever it was. There was a documentary that I watched after the fact that Euros, they were just playing, like, the games weren't in one spot. They were all over the place. Like, England would play the majority of their games at home, which was hilarious because they got that benefit of the doubt. He says he's in Ireland in the moment. Sammy, did you happen to see the interview not too long ago with Alan McCann? He's from Dublin. And he talked about you guys making the World Cup. So you go back. I think it's about like an hour ago now. So if you want to go back and watch that interview, we'll also clip it too for if you want a shorter form video. So you don't have to go all the way back. But hey, he was talking about Ireland making the World Cup. Nate here wants you guys to win the World Cup, or not win the World Cup, make the World Cup. It's been a minute for the Irish.
Been a little bit. Yep.
But he said in the documentary was in the finals. It was England versus Italy, and they were playing at Wembley, so in London. And what happened that day? I don't even know how it happened. Everyone in security thought that, because again, there's limited tickets, limited everything, but the stadium actually ended up getting I forget the exact term they use, but they raided it and got into the stadium, and they actually, inside Wembley, when you get into the stadium, like onto the concourse, there's you still have to go through another portal to actually get into the stadium. So they actually had to lock down the stadium until 20 minutes before the game to try to get people out and stuff, and it didn't happen. Sammy says Curacao has qualified. Yes, they have, and Wayne Gretzky can't even pronounce the name of the country. But then I remember the head of security was there was a group of hundreds and hundreds of people that were waiting outside Wembley Stadium. So when you go to Wembley, there's this massive long street that people party in and wait on going before the game, which the videos before the game we can't even air on the show how bad it was. They're shooting rockets out of certain spots on their bodies. It was really crazy. The security, who is an Englishman who wants England to win, sat there and goes, Italy better win this thing. England can't, because I don't know what that group of people are going to do outside the stadium. He's like, our men are outnumbered. Our security's outnumbered. We need Italy to win so bad. And he's like, I can't believe I'm saying this. He's thinking in his head, he's like, England needs to win. And he's like, Italy needs to win. Italy ultimately wins the shootout. Feel bad for my boy Bukayo at that moment. Man, he was just like a teenager at that point. And then the people go away. So soccer fans are crazy. And to get them in the United States where, again, United States fans are not saying soccer specifically, but the American fan is way different than the European fan. We've talked about it before. The European fans are crazier. They're more passionate. They're more loud. They do lots of crazier things, I would say, unless you're from Philly. That's a little different story. Maybe from Ohio, maybe a different story with the Buckeyes.
Or New York.
But to be fair, all the New York teams are trash. So there's not really nothing to cheer for. But I'm talking about the craziness, off, you know how the Philly, Philly greased up all the light poles so no one was climbing up them, stuff like that. And New York hasn't done anything like that. But no, it was it's crazy. And to something that we struggled with 2 summers ago with Copa America, that's worrisome. But hopefully they get it figured out.
Yeah, they are. They're nuts. But I'm excited for the passion. I'm excited to see the passion. I'm excited to experience it in one way or another. I don't necessarily see myself going to a game, but in whatever way I can. But yeah, it's they're nuts in a lot of ways, because it means that much more. And even with the hockey, as we saw recently, it means more to people to see their country play.
It's the SEC, man.
It's going to be.
It just means more.
It just means more. But let's take a break here on Inside the Game. Manchester City soccer camps are a proud sponsor.
Wrong one.
No, you're good. You're good. Of this National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy to players across the United States. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels. These camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30 or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. Back live on Inside the Game, episode 238 here on the National Soccer Network. Nate Wangler joined alongside Ryan Glinsky. Hey, big thanks to our live viewers here today. Make sure to drop a comment if you want to talk about something.
We got another
anything.
one from Sammy.
Doesn't matter.
Boldo is on the verge of breaking a Champions League record. I don't know what the exact record is. I haven't paid attention to this round of Champions League games because Arsenal's not playing in it. They're in the next round already. But Bodo is actually, Nate, if you don't know, and for the people who don't know, Bodo is a Norwegian side. And I think they're like the smallest team in it still, I think. So this might fit well with what you want to root for if they were for a Champions League winner, the smallest team to win it. But they're in Norway, and they don't play league games between the months of November to March because of how cold it gets. So they have not played a league game since November, and then they just beat Inter Milan. Inter Milan they just beat, which Italian football is it's going down the drain a little bit in terms of like their national teams and some of their teams. It's been bad.
Yeah, the program has been abysmal, Italian football, which is crazy because
after the Euros they haven't done anything.
Yeah, I feel like they used to be the standard, which I mean they just have. They have been. They've looked bad. They've looked flat. They look everything. So, I mean, I still think it's good ball. Like, obviously, we talk about it with AC Milan and what our friend, our good buddy Christian Pulisic is doing. But, you know, speaking of American players, Weston McKennie does a lot of things really well. He can play about 19 different positions. I'm sure he's worked at the concession stand at one point or another. Maybe he's done some public address announcing. Maybe he's worked security.
This is the record. They beat 3 top 5 teams. Inter Milan, Atletico, and Man City. Yes, I know they also beat Man City. Great job to Bodo. Screw Man City. They're absolutely trash. Screw them. But yeah, no, McKennie. I saw a funny tweet about that. There was a guy that tweeted, he goes, Weston McKennie might be the first player in Champions League history to start the first leg as striker and start the second leg as left back. That might be true. This guy he might as well just be like the general or the sporting director or the head of marketing at Juventus. I don't know, but this guy just does it all. Maybe he yes, McKennie did score against Curacao. Maybe I don't know what else can he do. Maybe he'll do play-by-play for them for one game. I don't know.
Man, that's what I'm saying. Or work security, or be the ball boy. I don't like. I would be more interested to see what Weston McKennie can't do inside of that stadium. Like, let's even put him in the mascot. Is there a mascot? Do they have a mascot that runs around?
I don't think they have that.
All right. Or maybe we could just make one. I don't know. Maybe he can lead the supporters section. No, this kid is crazy and we've seen that from Juventus, and they've tried him in so many different places, and they talked about his versatility and all the different things he can do. And so from striker to left back, and then to score with 10 men on the field too, off that header in that game, crazy, man. Like, how far? The question now becomes in my mind, like, how far can Weston McKennie go? Did you get another comment?
Yeah,
you react to something in front of you.
It's from your buddy Schrock. He says,
buddy. Oh, Schrocky.
Has soccer ever been in the Summer Olympics like baseball has, or since the World Cup is a thing, and it never has because of the World Cup? Schrock, I'll tell you this. So the men's side, there has been Olympics. Messi, I think, has a medal. So does Aguero. But the only issue is they only take under 23s for the men's side, and then they take 3 senior players. So anyone above the age of 23, they can only take 3 players. And then the men's, they do play Olympics, and then the women's side is all senior team players. So any age, doesn't matter. There's no restrictions. But no, the Olympics has happened on the men's side, or in the Olympics, I should say.
Yeah, it's not a priority though, Schrocky. It is. I wouldn't say it's a priority for the U.S. or the U.S. men's national team. For the women, it's a little bit different. Like, gold medals mean a lot. Obviously, winning the World Cup means everything. But it's the best of the best play for the gold medal in the Olympics. So I think it would be more fun to see that. I think it'd be fun to see us send our best, and other clubs too. But I'm sure there's probably conflicts with, obviously,
there's just too many games, man.
There's just too many games, throughout the course of the World Cup's a little bit different because it's once every 4 years. But I don't know.
I did find the Juventus mascot. They do have one. And I'm about to
They do have one?
They do have one. His name is Jay the Zebra. That is his
Jay
name.
the Zebra.
This is him right here.
So
This is
now-
Jay the Zebra. Weston McKennie.
Yeah.
All he's got to do is be Jay the Zebra at least one time, and I think he would have completed everything inside Juventus. So maybe they allow him to be the Zebra, but no. There is a mascot for Juventus.
Oh.
I did not know that. I know the only mascot, I mean, I guess there are a couple mascots. Gunnersaurus for Arsenal, which he was actually fired during the COVID. They're like, yeah, we're not bringing Gunnersaurus back during COVID. And then Ozil was like, I'll donate some money to get Gunnersaurus back.
Brought to you by Jeep. No, that would be probably the last leg of what Weston McKennie would have to do to truly do everything. So, yeah, I think he's finally getting into the prime of his career, and it's awesome to see. And obviously nearing that contract extension, that'll be huge for him, and it shows how much the club respects what he can do. And obviously it brings up the talking point that we've kind of been stewing on and that we've mentioned in many different conversations. And, I just saw Alexi Lawless's face pop up on my screen on our social media channels, talking about how Poach will be judged this summer for the World Cup, that is exactly where he will be judged. But I think that, and Alexi Lawless has said that. We talked about Eric Winaldo recently with him kind of responding to Tim Whale talking about ticket prices. But all of those guys in 94, and really anybody who's followed this game over the last couple of decades in the U.S., will all admit that we are the deepest with our national team right now, in terms of the talent, in terms of the options. Flo Balogun has been in a great run of form. Obviously, Christian Pulisic is Christian Pulisic. Weston McKennie is Mr. Do-It-All. We've seen, Pepe has looked great since coming back from injury. We are certainly the deepest we've ever been. But does that translate? That's obviously the ultimate question for all of us.
Yeah, there was this conversation popped up a couple times yesterday because of Johnny Cardoso scoring for Atletico Madrid in the Champions League yesterday. And people who follow the men's national team is Cardoso never really plays for the U.S. He's always somehow hurt, or he's never really kind of like in the mix all the time. And he's a good player on his day, I would say. But like to think that a player that plays Champions League for Atletico Madrid is, not even in the conversation. Sam Lawless is Greek. Alexi Lawless is Greek, or maybe even to say geek. I don't know. I don't think Lawless was Greek. Ginger.
He is. I think he is. He is Greek. Gingers come from all over the place, Ryan. It's a genetic variant. So I think he is Greek.
Is
he? He was born in the U.S. Pretty sure. I don't know he was born here in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
So I think.
Oh, he is. He is of Greek descent. His father, Demetrios, was a Greek professor, and his mother is American. Lawless was born in Birmingham, Michigan. Okay, I did not know that. Shout out to you, Sam. Did not know that. Typically, gingers are not Greek, so I don't know. But no, back to the point. Yeah, no, it's great to see a player that, isn't really in the mix for the men's national team actually, providing at such a high level the Champions League. And it's really good to see. And you think of another guy like Yunus Musa, who is playing over in Serie A. He's not even been in the conversation at all either. And just to think that, like, again, does this mean that we're going to make a run at the World Cup? No. But at the same time, our floor is rising. And also our ceiling's got to rise a little bit, but the floor of, getting grouped all the time or not competing against a massive side, it's starting to lessen day after day after day because of the amount of talent that we have, with our U.S. men's national team since the start of Christian Pulisic going over to Borussia Dortmund at such a young age and debuting over there. And then, that kind of knocked down the door, I would say, for American soccer players. And then you also get the aspect of, certain clubs want to have a satellite base here in the United States to try to get younger players, that younger American players at such a young age, and then eventually, once they turn 18, try to get them over to their sides if they're good enough overseas, whether that's a Bayern Munich or a PSG or a Barcelona, a Man City, anything like that. But no, it's John Wick was born in Beirut. I don't know about that part. Sammy, we appreciate all the comments today, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
This guy's been
Thanks,
awesome
brother.
today. Hopefully we see you tomorrow as well. But no, keep the comments coming, Sammy. Hope you're doing good overseas. But anyway, no, it's just a good thing to see all these guys, playing overseas and continuing to dominate.
Yeah. It's important for the maturation of the U.S. in soccer, and I think, as we've talked about many a times, I think these clubs realize the potential that the U.S. in terms of being a soccer playing nation, and so they're going to continue to send more people over here to try to identify that talent. I think it's because of the success that the likes of Pulisic and Weston McKennie have had. And so that's why it matters in the long run. I think sometimes people don't really look at individual accomplishments. And in terms of the general American audience, they're not really going to care all that much until the team does something. Right?
Exactly.
Because I can, even with hockey, I can talk about, Quinn Hughes has been sick. Yeah, Quinn Hughes has been the
No
guy
one followed him
since
though.
he was at
Unless you're a
Michigan.
diehard.
No one cared until he started scoring gold, until he sniped Sweden to end it in overtime. No one gave a shit, but now they do because they see what he did for the national team. And so that's why no one really buys into, but why it matters is because it makes, again, the clubs and the people in those spaces go, oh, American doing these things in this game, in this league. There's got to be more of them in there. I mean, hell, they got over 350 or 330 million people in that country. There's got to be somebody else that can be equally as good, if not better. And so that's where I'm like, the world sees the potential. At least the right people in the world see the potential in the U.S. The rest of you just don't want the U.S. to get good because, again, we talked about it earlier. It might cause World War III. So that's a realistic concern. But let's get into question of the day.
Question of the day. Oh, where am I? Question of the day. Salt Athletic, an official sponsor here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off that #1 smell-proof cleat bag that works and actually is in the studio here. You can put on your shoes and anything like that. Honestly, it doesn't even have to be shoes. It could be anything, and it doesn't stink. But if you want a chance to win one of these for free, tune into the show tomorrow. We'll be giving away a free Salt Athletic bag tomorrow. All you have to do to enter, head over to our Instagram, drop us a follow at NatSoccerTV, head to one of our Salt Athletic posts, comment hashtag NSN Salt giveaway, and tag a friend as well, and then you'll be entered in the wheel for the drawing to win tomorrow. And I think we're at 17 now bags to give away. I forget. But anyway, question of the day. One nation that is not the United States to win the World Cup, who would it be?
As in my pick, my favorite to win the World Cup?
If there's one nation in the world, that you would want to win the World Cup, that's not the United States. Who would it be?
That's not that's a different question. Okay. I mean, come on, man. I gotta go with Ireland. I have to go with Ireland. The truth is that I'd love to see them win. It would be so inconceivable. I think probably even more inconceivable than watching the United States win it. And mostly because of just how wild that ride is. They would be pissed, but how wild that ride has been in the qualifications to get into the World Cup and the, Parrots Hail Mary to win and everything else that's happened in the lead up to it. I think that would be great. I also wouldn't, as weird as this may sound, I wouldn't mind seeing Italy win. I don't, I have ancestors, Sicilian, a little bit different, but, I have ancestors from over there too. So Poland would be fun. Those are probably my three.
I would say Poland #1 because that's the motherland.
Yeah.
That's the motherland right there.
Lewandowski or Lewandowski, however they pronounce it.
Yeah, Lewandowski. Dude, we used to have a team.
Yeah, there you go.
We used to have a team back in the early 2010s.
There was.
Blachowski,
There was a squad.
Piszczek, Milic, Kukoviak, Lewandowski. We used to have a team back in the day. Now we're just trash. But it's okay. We still have aging old Lewandowski. But there's another one, Spain, obviously, just because of the Spanish people have been very good to my dad, my sister, my mom, and I since my dad started working with Spaniards. That's why I root for Real Sociedad now. I would love for Spain to win it all, and they also the Spaniards are also becoming Pistons fans. So shout out to them. They're starting to like they're starting to like our stuff. So I kind of gotta like their stuff too at the same time. And then Hungary's got to be up there too. I'm Hungarian. So
Fair.
And again, the Magyars. I forget what they're called. Magyars. I forget the exact pronunciation, but they used to be sick back in the 50s. They used to be sick back in the day. And then there's what else was I gonna say? Oh, they drink a lot of this thing called Balinka. It's the worst liquor ever. It's horrible. You could probably start your lawnmower off with that thing with Balinka, man. It's so gross.
Man. Yeah, when I went to the rugby match, Ireland versus New Zealand, I had the I don't think this is an Irish special, but obviously they
Ireland's got a lot of love today.
They have for sure, and deservedly so, man. There's good people over there. But it was funny because there was no like where Soldier Field is. There's no bars like immediately around it. Like you just have a big parking lot and a big like area around Soldier Field. You'd have to walk a little bit from the bars. So there was a set up tailgate in the parking lot, and obviously Guinness and other things. Have you ever had Malort, Ryan Glinsky?
I have not.
Okay. That is a traditional liquor from Chicago. I'm just saying it is the most brutal thing you will ever taste in your life.
Say that again. Malort?
Malort.
I've heard of it. I have heard of it.
Yeah. Terrible.
I don't think I've tried it.
Don't do it.
Because one of my roommates is from Chicago.
Don't do it.
And I think his brother brought it one time. Ah, gosh.
Yeah. It stings. It stings going down.
I've heard of it.
But no, it would be cool to see Ireland do well. You know who I would like to see go far or maybe pull off an upset, but not maybe win the World Cup? I think Scotland. I think that would be really fun. I think like Scotland beating England. Forget like winning the World Cup. I just want to see Scotland beat England or Ireland beat England, and then that would just make me that would make me happier than seeing the U.S. beat England. To be completely honest with you, especially in a World
losing
Cup.
Period.
There you go. Yeah, I don't want to see another country actually win the World Cup. I just want to see England flame out as soon as possible. Actually go winless and then just
they get
and then just get bounced.
Oh man, that's awesome. That'd be sweet. No, I wouldn't mind seeing because like England or to like that kind of area of the world, like the Scotlands, the Irelands, the Northern Irelands, the Wales, all that stuff, the Welsh. That's all like they're all considered like little bro to England, and England like looks down on them. And if they were to beat England, that'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, that'd be sick. That wraps up episode 238. Appreciate all you stopping by. Obviously, had some really good interviews on the show here today. Another huge thank you to Carlos Llamosa as well as Alan McCann. Coming up tomorrow, it's Tanner time. We talk a little bit about Major League Indoor Soccer on the men's and women's side and much, much more as we get ready to wrap up
tomorrow.
And the power rankings inside the MLIS as we continue to move towards, and the WMLIS as we continue to move towards the postseason. But until we talk to you guys tomorrow, it's been episode 238 here on Inside the Game.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real